Hey there, everybody. This is Donna Smith, and if you hear some noise in the background, you're right. Anyway, some of you may remember me. I was the editor of the Black Hills Pioneer 20 years ago. And my husband Larry and I started a business in Lead. It was Shiner's Pet Supply. We lived in Lead and Deadwood for about 8 years. It was so wonderful. Um, And we left. You know why we left? And many of you thought we left because I was in a documentary or we were in a documentary with a documentarian who sometimes draws a lot of attention, and that's Michael Moore. Um, we were subjects in that documentary. We weren't friends with him. We didn't get paid to be in it. We were subjects because what was happening to us was happening to so many people, not only in South Dakota, but all over the country, which was our healthcare costs were eating alive everything we needed to stay alive. I could no longer support Larry and take care. Larry's my hubby, now 81 years old, and I'm 70 now. So I'm speaking to you as somebody who left South Dakota because my job at the Pioneer I loved my job, but it didn't pay enough once my insurance benefits came out, my insurance premiums came out. It didn't leave enough left for Larry and I to live on comfortably in a way that we could maintain ourselves. And I couldn't do it alone. And Larry couldn't keep working. It was that simple. So we left, and that was what was filmed in that documentary so many years ago. When we crossed the state line, Larry was in one car, I was driving another with my dog Shiner in it. I had to pull over because I was sobbing and choking. It was that upsetting for me. I was leaving, a place that I just revered the history, I'm a history graduate, loved the history, loved the people so much, so many of the people. Yeah, there were some people who I didn't get along with, and people who didn't like me. That's life. That's the way it goes. So anyway, we left, and I ended up being hired by National Nurses United and a nursing association. And I worked all over the country, 48 states and the District of Columbia, spoke in Australia, spoke in Canada. Um, so I've done a little bit of politicking along the way. And right at the moment, I think you'd all agree with me. The politics happening on the national scene is ugly. I don't care which side of the aisle you sit on, if you're on an aisle, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether I have my political views, you probably have your own. That's great. But I think there are some things most Americans don't like, and we don't like all this gross stuff. Come on. We don't need to be furthering this nasty environment in the country. It's not helpful. It's not helpful to our children, our grandchildren. It's not helpful to the schools. It's not helpful to anybody. It doesn't make us better as a country. And we're at risk of losing our democracy if we don't stop with each other. Having said that, I'm also extremely aware as a mom and a wife and an American that the politics that affect us most closely are the ones that happen at home, locally. Your roads and your schools and how you breathe your air, and in South Dakota certainly keeping roads open in the wintertime and having safe fire protection and all the things that we all know are so important happen locally. Sewers happen locally. That's where it all happens. So when I still read the Pioneer, and I still read articles from all over South Dakota, still follow Tom Lawrence, still love so many of the people that I used to work with. I love so much. I won't mention them because I don't want them to feel like they're under any obligation. Um, I've been listening and watching to what's happening with Blake Joseph in Deadwood. I want to tell you a little something. I reached out to him because I was just tired of seeing all of it, not because I knew what the facts necessarily were from what I was seeing printed, but because it just made me uncomfortable for him and for Deadwood. For Deadwood, because I don't think you want that kind of an image of infighting and gossiping and he said, she said. All I read all of the various allegations that have been out there, and I decided I was going to call him. So I called him and I talked to him yesterday at length. I haven't talked to Blake in 20 years, truly, probably 19 years actually. I followed him online. I've watched his family because I love his mom very much, Darlene. Um, so I called him, and I think he'd be the first to tell you it wasn't a call where I said, "Oh boy, rah rah, I'm on with you, Blake," immediately. It was a call where I said, "What happened? Tell me the truth. What's going on?" And because I've raised three sons, I now have 15 grandchildren and 19 great grandchildren. I think I have a pretty good feel for when somebody's not telling me the truth. Blake was pretty straight with me about some of the things that have happened to him and in Deadwood. I didn't think he was lying to me at all. And I knew him as a young man, as a teenager, relatively well then because I interviewed him for the paper and knew more about him because I thought he was so dang talented. I still think he's dang talented. So, what I told Blake straight up is stop getting in the mud with them. Don't answer anymore. Don't, if there's not a legal compilation to answer, don't answer. Leave it alone. Talk about what you believe for Deadwood. What's your vision for Deadwood? Right now, he told me about people starving without their benefits. He told me about people in Deadwood who are homeless. I can't imagine living in Deadwood in the winter when it's homeless, when you're homeless. Woo-hoo! No, thank you. Blake has ideas about that. He told me about some of the declining population of young children. We don't want young children moving away, but then their families. But the reality is that in a small community like Lead and Deadwood and maybe even Spearfish, people stay in good jobs a very long time, often all the way till retirement. And the young people coming up the pike, they don't have those good job opportunities that will also afford them a home in the same Black Hills where the prices of real estate have been going up. Blake knows this. He's got some ideas and some plans, and I like that. I like that about him. A young man with some new ideas and some new things. I know undoubtedly that's why Deadwood elected him the first time. That's awesome. That's still the reason you should keep him in office. I'm telling you this because a recall, all it does is sully Deadwood. All it does is make it look like you couldn't handle your own politics, that you were gossipers, that it was small town garbage. And it's not. It's not small town garbage. It's small town, big town stuff. Deadwood could be Deadwood could be drawing a whole bunch of people from where I live in Denver now. I know it. I know it in my heart. I know it. And I think Blake has some ideas about that too, going forward. But I'm going to tell you the thing that told me the most about Blake yesterday on that phone call, and he doesn't know this. As I looked, I had researched, I had looked at everything, and I wanted to know who who is targeting him and why. Blake did not say anything nasty about any other human being on our call yesterday. This gentleman, this young man, has been, I don't know if he's done a few things that were rookie move mistakes as a politician. How many of you haven't made rookie moves along the way? Anyway, he shouldn't. He should hold himself to a very high standard of behavior as a public servant, even as a Deadwood City Commissioner, and know that people will be watching him. And I said that, he knows that. But even in talking to me privately, when he could have said nasty things about Charlie, he could have said nasty things about Sharon or Michael or Charles. Blake did not do that. In fact, I went back and reread all the bios of everyone. And I thought, folks, I'm going to ask you to vote no on that recall. Get out there and vote no. Blake has good ideas. If you think he doesn't live up to what you want him to be, vote in a new commissioner at your next election when he's up. Or I am going to keep tabs on Blake a little bit and a little bit more than I have because I don't like putting myself out here if he's not holding up his end of the deal. And his behavior, unfortunately, right now has to be above reproach. So, Blake, I know you're listening. You can post this video wherever you want. Thank you for chatting with me and listening to me yesterday. I'm an old woman with old ideas, but I love Deadwood. I love your mom very much. And I think you can do it. You can do it. Any mea culpas that need to be done, do them privately. And then talk about those great ideas you've got for fixing the problems that are right now, right there in the face of Deadwood. You can do it. You all can do it. You can be a model for the nation where you take small town gossipy kind of politics, shut that down, and put forward for the good of the community. So that people like me and Larry in the future don't have to leave a place we love and leave friends. Thanks and good luck with that election. I'm going to come back every few days and give you my thought process if it matters. Thanks very much and see you soon.